Hey guys and girls, welcome to your math lesson. Today we're going to begin with our learning target. It says, I can skip count within 1,000 by fives, tens, and hundreds. Now, yesterday and the day before, we started practicing finishing skip counting by fives in sequences. And I showed you the trick to using the hundreds chart, okay? So we're going to review that today. And then I'm going to show you another trick of using the hundreds chart to skip count by tens on the and notice I'm going to show you the pattern that you can use. So let's start with reviewing our fives, okay? Now, think back, what was the little chant that I taught you guys about the pattern that you notice on the hundreds chart when you're skip counting by fives? The pattern's going to go back and forth, and it's going to make two columns down the hundreds chart, okay? Let's look at it. All right, so I'm going to grab, all right, here we go. So we've got, in our first sequence over here, 75, 80, and 85. Remember I told you, always check the hundreds place first. Well, these numbers, 75, 80, and 85, do not have any hundreds. So that makes it a little bit easier for me because I don't have to worry about those. I'm going to go ahead and hunk and chunk my tens and my ones. And I want you guys to get in the habit of doing this too. Whatever I do, I want you to do it when it's your practice time. So hunk and chunk the tens and the ones, and you notice that the number is 75. So I'm going to go ahead and find that number on my hundreds chart. The next number in the sequence is 80, no hundreds. So I'm going to hunk and chunk my tens and my ones, and I'm going to find it on the hundreds chart. Now, the third number in the sequence is 85. Once again, no hundreds. I'm going to start hunk and chunk it together and find it on my hundreds chart. If you look at the hundreds chart, there we're starting to see a pattern. As you can tell, it's going back and forth, back, and I need to finish the next three numbers, so I'm going to go forth 5 numbers, and that'll take me to 90. So I'm going to fill it in. I'm going to go back. That's going to take me to 95, and I'm going to go back one more time, and that's going to end the sequence at 100. Remember, if you're not really noticing the back and forth pattern when you're skip counting by fives, you can just count 5 singles, 5 unit squares on the hundreds chart, if that'll be a little bit easier. But I want you to start noticing that pattern because it's going to make it a little bit quicker and easier for you guys when you're skip counting. All right, so let's do a sequence with numbers that are 3 digits. Okay, we've got 525, 530, and 535. Remember, I always want you to begin with your hundreds place. I'm going to underline the digit in the hundreds place. It's a 5. Okay, I'm going to go look at the next number. That digit in the hundreds place is also a 5. And the digit in this number in the hundreds place is also a 5. So since the hundreds place is not changing, that's a hint that tells me I'm not counting by hundreds. So I can go ahead and plug in the hundreds place in all 3 of the remaining numbers. All I have to do now is hunk and chunk my tens and my ones, find it on the chart, and finish the pattern. So now I'm going to go back to my first number. I've got 25 when I hunk and chunk my tens and my ones, and I can find that on the hundreds chart. I've got 30 in the next number when I hunk and chunk my tens and my ones, and I'm going to find that on the hundreds chart. And the last number that I'm given is 35 when I hunk and chunk, and I'm going to find it on the chart. All right, once again, you should see the formation of 2 columns, back and forth. If you're not sure how many numbers, guys, think about it. If we're skip counting by fives, how many numbers are going to be in between every one? 5. We're skip counting 5 numbers every time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 35. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 40. So 40 is going to be, I'm going to plug it in right here. So I've got 540. But guys, I don't have to count by single units every single time because skip counting by fives has a pattern and it's back and forth underneath the same columns. So 40 back to 45. I'm going to plug it in. And then I'm going to wrap up with 50. So I have 525, 530, 535, 540, 545, 550. And since the pattern on the hundreds chart is going back and forth and forming 2 columns going straight down, then that's a clue to let me know that we are skip counting by fives. Let's do one more. Okay, let's grab a different color. All right, we're going to start with 605, 610, and 615. Remember, we always start with our hundreds place, so I'm going to underline it. Let's see if it's changing. 600, 600, 600. There's no change there, so that means I'm not counting by hundreds. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it in. 600, 600, 600, because that's going to stay the same. Usually, that will stay the same. Now I can hunk and chunk my tens and my ones. So if I have 0 tens and 5 ones, that's just 5. So I'm going to find that on the hundreds chart. Then I have 1 10 and 0 ones, that's 10. And then in the third number, I have 1 10 and 5 ones, there's 15. And as you can tell by looking at the hundreds chart, I'm starting to see that those two columns. That means I'm going back and forth. So we need to find the next 3 numbers in the sequence by skip counting by 5. So I've got 5, 10, 15, back and forth. That's going to take me to 20. I can use that and plug it in. Back and forth, it's going to take me to 25, plug it in, and wrap up with 30. So you have 605, 610, 615, 620, 625, 630. So even though my numbers are 3 digits, I can still use my hundreds chart to help me find the pattern when I'm skip counting by 5s. All right, let's take a look at skip counting by 10s on a hundreds chart. Now, 10s are I think are going to be a little bit easier than skip counting by 5s. All right, so let's grab. All right, so counting by 10s, we're going to do the same strategy. We're going to always look at our hundreds first, see if they're changing. Then we're going to hunk and chunk our 10s and our 1s, find it on the chart, and try to locate the pattern. All right, so in the first one, we have 60, 70, 80. Now, I'm going to hunk and chunk it because there are no hundreds. I'm going to find it on my chart. There's 70, find it on my chart. There's 80, find it on my chart. Now, do you notice the pattern? We're going straight down. When you're skip counting by 10s, guys, there's not a back and forth pattern. It's straight down because there are 10 numbers in each row. So when you skip count by 10s, you're skipping 10 numbers. So when you hop downward, 60, 70, 80, you're counting by 10s automatically. So if I wanted to continue the pattern, I would just hop down. 90, plug it in. 100, plug it in. And oh my goodness, I'm out of numbers on my hundreds chart. What will I do? I just count by 10s, okay? So if you're at 100 and you add 10 more, I can just start back up here at the top of my hundreds chart, or I can just use my fingers. 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110. So if I skip 10 more numbers, that's going to take me to 110. So even though I'm out of numbers on my hundreds chart, I can still count 10 more to see what the last number in that sequence would be. Okay, so that one's a little bit tricky because we did run out of numbers, but it's not impossible to figure out. All right, so let's go to the next one. This is a 3-digit number. So like before, we're going to start with our hundreds place. All right, so let me get my pen. And here we go. So we're going to start with our hundreds. 400, 400, 400. I automatically noticed straight from the beginning that my hundreds place is not changing. The hundreds are staying at 4 every single time. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it in the rest of the sequences just to make it a little bit easier for me. Now, just like before, we're going to hunk and chunk our 10s and our 1s. So I have 35 in the first number, and I'm going to find it on my chart. Then I've got 45 in the second number, find it on your chart. Then I have 55 when I hunk and chunk, find it on your chart. Do you see the pattern? Yes, it is going straight down, one column, straight down. I have 35, 45, 55. If I want to add 10 more, I'm just going to continue down the column. 65, and I'm going to plug it in. Keep going. 75, plug it in. Keep going. 85, plug it in. The pattern on the hundreds chart when you're skip counting by 10s is one column straight down. If I wanted to keep going, the next number would be 495, okay? So let's do one more together, and then I'm going to let you practice on your own. skip counting by 5s and 10s today. Okay, let's get one last color. All right, 715, 725, and 735. So like before, start with your hundreds place and see if it's changing. We have 700s, 700s, and 700s. Is the hundreds place changing? No. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it in, the rest of my numbers in the sequence. I don't have to worry about that anymore. Now I'm going to hunk and chunk my 10s and my 1s and find the numbers on the chart so that I can locate the pattern. So I have 15 here, find it. I have 25 here, find it. And I have 35 when I hunk and chunk there, and I'm going to find it. Do you see the straight down one column pattern? Yes, because when you're skip counting by 10s, all of the numbers are going to go down one straight row when you're counting by 10s because there are 10 numbers in a row. And when we're skip counting by 10s, we're adding 10 every single time, or you're skipping 10 numbers every single time. So if I've got 15, 25, 35, and I want to find the next number down here in my sequence, I'm just going to keep going down. I'll be at 45, that's 10 more, add it in. Go down, 55 would be 10 more, add it in, and 65 would be 10 more, add it in. And now you've got your pattern finished: 715, 725, 735, 745, 755, and you're going to end it with 765. All right, guys, I want you to continue on in your seesaw activity, log in, and I want you to do some practicing with skip counting by 5s and 10s on your own. Talk to you guys later.